Warning, this episode contains graphic language, bloody Lake Como references, sad origin stories, and as always, teen angst. Also, there will be spoilers for chapters 44 through 48 of Brisingr, book 3 of the Inherent Cycle by Christopher Paolini. Listen at your own risk.
Is this a podcast, or is this just fantasy? We're just two nerds and we love our fantasy. So join us if you want to nerd out. Time to start the podcast and see. Anyway, here's the show.
Hello, Raiders. I'm Dane Patterson, the host who also wrestles anyone who challenges my command, which is also why I get to introduce myself first on the podcast.
That's true. That was a challenge I did not take.
That's a win.
And I'm Jacqui Linear, and is this a podcast or is this just fantasy? The podcast where Brom Watch wasn't over. It still isn't over.
Brom Watch 2023. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, there's a link on the show notes. If you can't or just don't want to, we totally understand. And just ask that you please rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. Bonus points if you could add Brom Watch in there somehow.
Yes, never forget Brom Watch. And as always, visit us at isthisjustfantasypod.com. You can buy our merch there and also watch our faces while we do this goofy banter because, yes, the full-length YouTube versions of these episodes are there. You're welcome.
That's a thing we did.
Yes, that's correct. A choice we made.
We keep making it over and over again.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's nice.
Before we go ahead and shift the entire landscape of the magic system we've been operating with for almost 3 whole books, I want to take a look back at what we covered on the last episode.
Let's do it.
So we kicked off last time with our second Saphira POV chapter with all the sass and haughty condescension we've come to know and love from our dragon bestie. But Niswana brings the Zen Master out of Saphira as they chat over a light inter-army murder situation. But they aren't just having a little girls' day. Niswana has come to send Saphira off to Trondheim for the dwarven coronation. And she wastes exactly 0 seconds getting the fuck out of Dodge.
Saphira's like, peace.
Yes. And in the city under the mountain, Eragon is in the thick of election night drama, counting votes like a teen who didn't just learn to read 6 months ago.
This is a vote.
Yes.
Learn it.
Yes, exactly. But despite some initial setbacks, Auric rallies support, and the deciding vote comes with a side of allure when sexy sexual harassment dwarf chooses Auric as king. And with that small, tiny matter settled, Eragon sprints through the city mountain to reunite with Saphira, and they give us all the heartwarming vibes we can handle as they rejoin their minds and souls. And Auric's coronation is the very next day. We see some religious magic that summons a freaking god who gives Auric the blessing he needs to become king. And after pledges of loyalty and hours of gift giving, right in line with your love language, Dane.
I would love that.
Yes. It's time for Saphira to shine, but her attempt to restore the Star Sapphire fails until a haunting dwarven song sparks her ancient magic and she mends Isidar Mithram. Notes of Creed. Cue 'em up. Press play.
Yeah,
Don't yarl at me,
sing.
Dane. The dwarves celebrate Saphira's honored as a master maker, and they proceed to enjoy a classic drunken dwarven feast that I very much missed my invite to. So, with presumably a bit of a hangover, Eragon has a Zoom call with his boss and requests a little PTO to visit Oramis. And Niswana initially denies him, but our bean farmer argues pretty deftly for once, and Niswana concedes. Meanwhile, Roran finally faces the music after his insubordination and is reprimanded by Niswana. He endures a painful whipping in silence, like the stoic badass we've come to know and love. And Niswana visits him in his convalescence to brief him about his promotion. He is to lead the first integrated unit amid the Varden's rising racial tensions. And finally, we wrapped up again with Eragon and Saphira setting off for Elismira. They get a quintessential summer road trip as they race for the Elven Forest. And once they cross the magical threshold, Eragon tries to secure that sweet remote work schedule from his other boss or daddy? Boss daddy?
Boss daddy?
He gets shot down. It doesn't matter. He can't get the remote work. So we ended with our dragon duo making their way to Oramis's cliffside hut. And are you ready to change the magic game, Dane?
I am ready. I'm always down to read about Brom, so this part is a fave of mine.
Okay.
But also, it got me thinking about something.
Yes.
In this section, we talk a lot about Oramis cooking.
That's
and
true.
just all the times that we've talked about
We
meat.
might have been hungry when we were reading it, but yeah, we do talk a lot about the cooking.
And we talk a lot about like Aragon being a vegan or is he a
Yeah,
pescatarian
that's
now.
true.
And so I have a few questions that I totally cannot decide on now, and I've decided to bring it to you.
Oh, thank you.
To
Your
help me.
wise and sage counsel
Yes, we're both council members, but I cede to you.
in matters of the stomach.
Yes, exactly. So I have two questions. The first one
Okay.
is, which character would you want to cook your breakfast or any meal really? Because I feel like we have such good vibes on what they might make.
Yes.
And I cannot decide.
Ooh, good question. Well, first of all, definitely not breakfast. Your girl does not eat breakfast.
You don't eat breakfast. Yeah,
No.
that's true.
So I guess if it's breakfast, whoever has the closest analog to coffee in this world.
It's got to be the elves.
Yes, that would make sense. But for any other meal, I think I'm going dwarves. That
Yeah.
feast they had when we first met Gannel, back when Gannel wasn't a dick,
Yes.
and they threw him that big feast.
Yeah.
I loved that. That sounded so good.
I was going to say dwarf, but also I couldn't decide between the dwarfs and Carvajallers.
Okay.
Because every time, like when Roran cooks at the beginning of this book, even Saphira is like, you should make me some like multiple animals. And
That's
then,
true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Brom has that sweet stew recipe.
Yes, and then the Carvajallers like have a whole like cooking line when it's going to be the wedding.
Yeah, lots of fresh baked bread. That
Yeah.
shit's delicious. Okay.
I love me some bread. That's great.
Yes, it's only freshly baked. I don't really eat other kinds of bread.
Okay,
It's
okay.
not true.
So we have a cook.
Yes.
We know like that.
Okay.
But is that different than who would you want to bring to a meal with your family and 4 of your best friends?
Okay. 4 of them.
There's 4 best friends.
Okay.
There's all of your family.
Ooh.
You have to bring one character.
Okay.
Oh, let me rephrase this. There's 5 of the closest people to you.
Okay, great. That
Okay.
sounds fun.
So, yeah. Which character do you bring
Shoot.
to the meal?
Well, we're having a dwarven feast.
Yes.
I think I would bring Jode.
Oh,
I think I'm
ooh.
going Jode as dinner
Dark
guest.
horse. Why?
Yes, I think because he's roguish. Like he'd definitely have good jokes. He has a good
Yeah.
sense of humor. He has incredible stories. He
True.
knows a lot. Could probably talk about anything. He'd get along well with like older members of the dinner party. He'd be like rakishly handsome enough for the girlies, that I'd be inviting. I'm going Jode.
Okay, that's fair, actually.
what
I like
about
that.
you?
Jode is a married man, though, but just for looks.
Probably not by then.
Okay.
Just kidding. It's going better now, and
Yeah, I
I'm
must
proud
say,
of them.
Helen's
I'm
got
happy
money.
For them.
She's happy.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm having a Carvajal meal. I'm gonna say breakfast.
Okay.
It's an early
yes,
morning
yes.
Carvajal meal.
You like a hearty brunch.
I like a hearty brunch. I think. I don't know. I actually this was the hardest one for me. I think, and I'm also pulling out a dark horse here. I think I'm bringing Horst.
Oh.
Because every time we meet Horst,
Yeah.
he improves the vibes of the
Yes,
situation.
absolutely.
Right?
His emotional intelligence is so high, I feel like.
Yes.
He would have an easy time like integrating with anybody.
Yeah, I don't feel like he's offensive in any way.
No.
I think he'd be a good listener, and with the amount of people I would bring, they all like to talk. So I think he'd be good for that. And like you were saying, I think he could talk about a new baby. He has his son
Yeah.
Baldor to brag about.
And he has
you know,
his son Albrecht, who
to
he also
complain about.
loves.
So yeah, I think I'd bring Horst.
Okay, that'd be fun. I like that. Horst at a Carvajal brunch.
Horst and Jode of all the characters.
Listen, if you don't love your tertiary characters, why are you reading the book?
What has this all been about?
What's it all been for?
Also, we cannot bring Roran, Murtagh, or Aragon because they'd have a haunted look while they eat.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it would just be slow chewing, haunted behind the eyes.
Angela might hit someone.
Yeah, a
Arya,
problem.
Arya's gonna yell about religion to somebody.
Yeah, Arya will do the whole atheist spiel, and she also might hit somebody. You
Yeah.
never know.
Nasawada might be bored because there's nothing hinges on this meal. So
No, Niswada was actually my close running
Close
second
second?
guess. Yeah, or Niswada and Auric, I think, were my other.
Auric was my
other
second.
picks,
I was
yeah.
like maybe Auric also because he would be like
So fun.
mimosas. Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, on that note, now that crucial.
Yes, I'm
That
glad we got
crucial
that out of the way. I've been
situation's
nervous to be able to talk that through with you, but I'm really proud of us.
I think we could just stop here. But
no, Dane, we need to know what's happening with Roran and his new weird friend.
Okay, well, chapter 44, Butting Heads.
Yes.
We open with, frankly, one of my favorite chapters in this whole freaking series. Yeah. I remember when I first read this, and it really reads to me like a character out of myth.
Okay,
So, So for me as a kid, despite all the, I have a lot of love for Murtagh.
We know.
And I like Auric.
Yes.
But I always love Roran the best when I'm reading it.
Okay.
And I think it's because his story is more similar to like the stories of Hercules and Gilgamesh.
Oh, yeah.
With their trials and their various adventures, and they vary. Like, they're not the same. They're wildly different. All that to say, we're back with our boy, Ryan Gosling.
Amazing.
Yeah, this is 3 days post-whipping.
Okay.
Having, of course, led his men on a successful raid.
Okay.
He's
not missing on his first leadership assignment.
Already crushing it.
Yes.
Nasawada's already right.
Yes.
He's still feeling a little raw from his whipping, but he's been lucky. He hasn't been in much of the combat as he's the leader now.
I mean, you got to get those sweet perks of middle management, Dane. You don't have to get your hands dirty in these raids anymore.
Totally true. I bet his like Varden paid for Starbucks in hand, and like he has a new embroidered like polo. It says like Varden as he overlooks his men.
What's the Varden's logo look like? We know this.
Yes, it's a
something's purple.
Purple. It's all. Oh my gosh! It's a dragon wrapped around a rose.
Yes.
On a purple background.
Yes.
I think
in
that's
white
right.
on purple.
White on purple.
I think that's right.
Okay. We're not wrong about
Don't
that.
fact check us.
Yeah, that's totally what he has on like his lapel.
Like
now.
a shield looking logo.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. He's a good hire for our queen president, though.
Yes.
He hasn't even lost a man. It's a perfect
damn.
raid.
Yeah.
So there is one small problem for Stronghanger and his merry band of Urgles and humans. Basically, the new band's honeymoon phase is over.
Okay.
His 20 men are having trouble with the 20 Urgles,
Ugh.
which is really telling for how deep the racial tensions run, because this is despite the fact that every single member, man and Urgle, was handpicked by Nargaj Bra and Queen President for their ability to mesh with the opposite race.
And it's still not going well.
So this one be for sure like this is for sure up on his quarterly review. If he cannot figure this out.
Having a bit of a problem.
Yeah, he needs to figure this out.
Yeah.
The whole thing instantly explodes when Roran sees 4 Urgles torturing an enemy soldier.
Ugh.
They've tied him to a tree and are just standing around stabbing him over and over. It's very gross and disturbing image.
Not great.
Seeing this, Roran walks up and kills the man instantly with his hammer and yells at Yarbog, the leader of this band of torturers.
Yeah.
He's an Urgle. Jax, Yarbog is up there for me. Paulini does not miss with these names. I like Yarbog.
Names.
It's just
Yarbog's pretty good. I would say Yarbog's definitely up there with Dormnad. It doesn't top Martland Redbeard for me personally.
No, I agree.
But,
but Yarbog's top tier.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, Yarbog and Roran have words, and clearly this torture isn't about vengeance or war, but more about violent entertainment. Yeah, which is somehow worse.
Definitely worse.
It's worse.
Definitely worse.
Roran is obviously disgusted and very pissed, especially when he mentions that they probably wouldn't do this to a tied-up Urgle. But to his surprise, Yarbog explains they totally would do this to a captured Urgle.
So intense.
Yeah, so that the Urgle would have a chance to prove his bravery before he dies. It's a tough spot for Roran because this is clearly wrong.
Yeah.
But also clearly a conflict of values type thing.
Yeah.
And managing people really is the hardest job of all. I think Roran is finding out.
Yes, there's nothing worse than having a disparate band of employees that you have to motivate. Find the best in everyone.
Yes, he's got to
play to
really...
everyone's strengths, Roran.
Yarbog's a millennial. He has to really get on his level, right? So anyways, Yarbog is kind of pissed and truly doesn't seem to understand Roran's anger here and basically calls Roran a coward.
Ugh.
Yeah, and it goes downhill very fast.
Yeah.
Because Roran isn't as familiar as Aragon with the coward insults. He doesn't know it's a love language.
He doesn't have an Arya to constantly call him a coward. He doesn't have a beautiful brother Murtagh
to yell it out above the armies.
Yes.
Yeah, so Roran, knowing that Yarbog could start trouble before this new executive healthcare plan kicks in that he's got.
Clock sticking might be a problem if we can't get our sweet PPO doctors to...
Yes, exactly. And he's going to need that daycare here soon. Katrina's going to have a kid any moment.
That's true.
So he tells him to turn over his weapon and care for the pack horses until they get back to the Varden.
Okay.
He tries to be badass. He just like turns his back on Yarbog and like walks away. but Yarbog flatly refuses.
Yes.
To Yarbog's credit, it is very cool and low key. Like when he challenges Roran, which almost makes it more scary, actually.
Yeah.
Yarbog challenges Roran for leadership of the squad, and Roran explains that humans and Varden laws don't work this way. And
it's not really a thing, bud.
Yes.
Clearly, I think this is like an HR issue here.
Yeah, he needs to send this up to
Yeah.
HR. So
Escalate.
Yarbog spits and tells Roran he has to earn the right to lead the Urgles. It's all fucked, and Roran is really stuck here.
Yeah.
Obviously, this goes where we all knew it was headed, to a wrestling match in loincloths.
Yes, that's right. There's no way we were getting out of this horny ass book without our like oiled up homoerotic beach volleyball scene.
It's really great.
Yes, but with like a side of violence this time.
Yeah, and I don't think this is up. This is in the book. So
Yes, that's true.
This is Christopher Paolini doing this.
In the writing.
Yeah. Roran and Yarbog are rubbed down with bear grease. It's Christopher Paolini. It's Christopher Paolini. Which also, I only wrestle in bear grease.
And that's why I don't wrestle. All the bear grease.
And the loincloths.
And the loincloths. Yes, I'm allergic to both.
Yeah. Then they get right down to it. This fight is amazing. I love how this is described. Roran instantly goes Sherlock Holmes and starts thinking about strategy since he's for sure not winning this through like strength and endurance.
Yes, gotta use your powers of deduction, bud.
Yeah. He settles on the horns of the Urgle being both Yarbog's greatest strength and greatest weakness in an
Okay.
unarmed fight. But he can't dwell on the strategy long because as soon as the fight gets started, it is intense very fast.
Yes.
Yarbog instantly tosses Roran on his back, and it doesn't look good at first. But Roran employs a textbook rope-a-dope with the side of some insults to goad Yarbog into recklessness,
Okay.
and manages to get a hold of the Urgle's horns and twist his neck into a
Ooh.
strained hold.
It sounded very uncomfortable to me reading it.
Yeah, it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
After an amazing 10 minutes of deadlock, Yarbog like whispers to Roran to just like
Wild.
kill him because he doesn't want to submit.
Yeah.
As the shame of losing to Roran is going to be worse than being alive.
Yes.
Roran being a total bro is like, look, Yarbog, tell people you're bested by Aragon Shadeslayer's brother.
Yeah.
And Yarbog thinks this over for minutes, by the way.
Crazy.
It's wild. And he submits. He thinks it will save him from shame.
Damn.
Just like that, the workplace dispute is over.
Thank
Pizza
God.
party. Yeah.
Pizza party. Dana, are we in the fucking 5th grade?
Oh,
We go to work happy hours.
Oh, yeah. It's time for some work happy hour. The humans obviously are super impressed, and Roran Stronghammer's legend fucking grows.
Yes.
The chapter ends with Roran ordering his men, and they're all in good spirits. He gets back to it like, I think he's taking a page out of Martin Redbeard's book.
Yes.
He definitely is like, get those buckets and you grab a mule.
It did,
It's-
yeah. I think you're right. I feel like it read very similar to me, like as Martin Redbeard style. I
Yeah.
do like that. And I'm just so impressive. What a turn to come from almost all out civil war within your unit to
Yeah.
like everybody ending on pretty good spirits.
Everyone's like, oh, I guess you're in charge.
I guess we're just chilling.
So no bad quarterly report for Roran. That's what we decided.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think he's in the clear for now. But that does take us to chapter 45, genealogy. And as fun as I think it would be to bask just a little longer in Roran's absolute insanity, we open this chapter with Aragon and Saphira as they arrive in Elismira. Aragon makes his grand entrance to present himself once more before his wise teacher by tripping and falling on his fucking face as soon as he gets off Saphira. I was just like, oh, bud.
Nice, Aragon.
He's very tired from that long ass road trip, though.
Yeah, he did so much work flying him there.
He's got his sea legs, his dragon legs. But he greets Oramus and Glader while Saphira is literally too exhausted to speak. And she's basically just like panting, foaming at the mouth. Glader pours a little energy into her and tells her he saved her a little snack from his morning hunt.
That's nice.
Super nice. And Oramus is not to be outdone by his dragon here, though. He set out some wine and a little cheese plate for Aragon to replenish himself after the journey.
Of course, Oramus is a good host, and I'm picturing fancy cheese and like vegan hot wings
Ooh.
on a rustic wooden board with like
Okay.
grapes on the corner.
Okay.
And then like Instapic somewhere like sweet crags of Tarnier, just like as the backdrop.
Yes.
Yes.
I could totally see
Tact.
that. Although I have a bone to pick with your hot wings situation.
I mean, he knows Aragon likes meat, but this is not meat. This is cauliflower.
Okay. If it's, as long as it's a gesture of kindness, I could get on board. But the elven food definitely seems bland to me. I'm not getting hot sauce from the elves.
It's definitely like imported from Carvajal.
Buffalo sauce.
Buffalo sauce.
Okay, that makes sense. Good. I'm glad we cleared that up.
Yeah.
So Aragon's ready to get talking right away, but they wait over an hour for Saphira to finish eating and drinking. And when she finally makes her way back over to the other three, she curls up and warns, like, I just might pass out at any moment. Just go ahead and talk. I'm going to just be over here napping. And Oramus is almost like maddeningly casual after how much Aragon and Saphira rush to make it to him. He just says, oh, that's fine. We'll just wait for you to nap and then we'll talk when you're ready.
Okay, so does Oramus know that the Varden's at war?
Yes, that was definitely I'm like, sir.
Or do you...
We're busy.
Okay, do you think his age is finally catching up with him? Do you think he's starting to call them like Eric and Sarah?
Dude.
And rant about the good old days before the humans landed? You know what I mean? That's the
You
kind
think
of vibe.
Grandpa's lost a step?
I think that's kind of the vibe that's going on here.
I don't think so. I think this is like classic textbook Zen yogi Oramus.
Okay.
Like he's just like, oh, we'll just wait. We have all the time as long as we feel like we have the time.
It's like, man, people are dying.
Yeah, sir.
Maybe-
Every minute we're gone,
Yeah.
people are dying. That's what Niswata told Aragon on the way
Exactly.
here. So Oramus starts by saying he's all caught up on everything that's happened to Aragon since they parted ways last, by way of news from Arya and Islanzadi, so we don't have to run back through the last book and a half, basically.
Yeah.
Aragon starts his side of this convo in a little bit of a testy tone, basically accusing Oramus of keeping a lot from him. And it's Glader, actually, who replies to this after a long silence, saying if Aragon has a problem, he better spit it the fuck out. And I was
know.
like, oh, you've poked the dragon, Aragon.
I'm glad that this finally happened to a dragon because
Yes.
from Nasawada to Gajbra to fucking Oramus now, and from Oric.
Yeah.
And then finally Glader's like, all right, if you got something
No,
to fucking
bud.
say, you say
Let's
it.
go.
Yeah, I like that.
Yes. So Aragon takes the bait, heads straight for dangerous territory, asking Oramus if he knew all along who Aragon's father was. And Aragon goes off. He loses it. He starts yelling and knocking shit over. Oramus is just calm as ever.
Chill.
Aragon goes on an absolute tirade, and Oramis's only response at first is a very odd aside about Arya and the egg. I like stuck out to me because I was like, sir, what?
What are you talking about?
But Aragon's undeterred. He's like, I don't give a
Does
fuck
he
about
cut him
that
off?
yet.
He's like, dude, shut up.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think so. But he's still accusing Oramus of like only training him so he'd be able to atone for the misdeeds of his father. It's just like brutal. He is really spiraling, feeling like his whole life is a lie. I think that's kind of what he says, actually, is
Yes.
like, if you've lied to me, has everybody lied to me? It's a kind of tough look for a bean farmer.
Yeah, and I think Aragon needs to just sit down, process his emotions by drawing in the dirt a little. Take the edge off his anger, do some doodles, maybe scream to Sindri.
Call to his mama Sindri.
Yes.
I know, he really could use a little beat for that. It's a shame Saphira is so tired. I bet she would be the one to be like, my guy.
Yeah, just chill out.
Yes, she would probably calm him down, but just as Aragon's like getting ratcheted up and Glader is starting to retaliate, that's the thing that finally shakes Saphira to be like, okay, everybody calm the fuck down. She addresses Oramus first, interestingly, and she says that they all need to tell Aragon some big secret that the three of them know. And Oramus is shocked at first to find out Saphira knows what this is, apparently. But he seemingly agrees with telling Aragon about this bombshell.
Ooh, what is it?
I'm going to tell you. So Oramus demands that Aragon calm down and starts by saying that before Aragon interrupted him, he was about to say that Murtagh isn't Aragon's brother, Dane.
Oh,
He's his half-brother. Dun, dun, dun.
Whoa.
So Oramus says they'd promised in the ancient language, all three of them, not to reveal any of this until Aragon discovered it on his own or his ignorance put him in danger. So his confrontations with Murtagh have released them from these oaths, apparently. So
Okay.
now we can be open about whatever this big deal thing is.
So Murtagh can't like use mind fuckery against Aragon?
Exactly. Well,
Okay.
I think what Aragon was kind of getting at is like he was in so much danger having his world rocked by Murtagh knowing they were brothers.
Gotcha.
And Oramus kind of sees, I think, the value in that, but he's like, also, that motherfucker was wrong. You guys are only half brothers. And then he goes on to tell him, because Aragorn's like, well, if we're half brothers, who the fuck is my dad? And the chapter ends with Glader being the one to reply that it's obvious his dad is Brom. Brom really is our daddy.
Magic Daddy was Magic Daddy all along.
Yes, I was very excited. I was like, thank fucking God. It's not, we don't have an evil dad.
And I have to say, like, I wasn't the quickest of kids. But even I was like,
something's up with Brom.
This is pretty obvious a little bit.
Yes.
So.
I think I had a little bit of the classic, like, Star Wars is Galbatorix going to be his daddy all along. That was a little bit in the back of my head, but I was like, no, thank God it's Brom.
Yeah, it's totally cool. I liked it, which led us to chapter 46, Two Lovers. Do.
So intense, the chapter title.
And we come right back to Brom Watch 2023. What? All right. I'm so happy about that.
I know.
I'm glad Brom's back.
You're just glad Brom Watch is back, I think.
This is my favorite part. We have Selena Watch. We have Brom Watch.
Yes.
They're coming together. First, Aragorn is still mad.
Yes.
Very confused.
That's our boy.
Yeah, and understandably rocked by this news.
It would be wild. I would hate that.
Yeah, but dude, it's cool. Go with it.
Yeah.
To learn your dad was the coolest guy ever has to be a blow.
Yeah.
When you're Kevining it up all the time. But he's gonna pull this together.
Yeah.
Yeah. He goes to his memories with Brom, and he pretty quickly realizes it's obvious. And it's like, you think, dog?
I do love that Glader was like, sir, it's fucking obvious.
Come on, man. Ormus tells Aragorn to do some breathing exercises to calm down. And I like Ormus.
Yes.
He's never been a character that really sticks out for me. When I find him and Glader to be pretty funny on a regular for some reason. Together, they're just hilarious. Yoga Daddy's always practicing his ways.
Yes.
And when this is juxtapositioned with our messy bean farmer, it just always makes me... It always makes me smile.
Yeah, I think he's just so on brand all of the time. Yeah. It ends up being pretty funny. You're like, okay, yes, Yoga Dad.
It's okay. He doesn't miss. It's always like that, right? Aragorn eventually gets his chakras in line and calms down.
Great.
And Saphira explains that she swore an oath in the ancient language to Brom the day after the Urgles attacked the three of them outside of Tyr in the first book.
Yeah.
As an aside, you know who was there when all that happened, Jax? You may have forgotten him. Caddox. Never forget that there was a grandpa named Horse while all this drama was unfolding, and he probably knew all of this. Caddox was probably a witness, but did Aragorn ever think to mind meld with his grandpa Horse to ask him what he thought?
I guess not justice for Caddox once again. It is funny. Nobody would have thought to swear the grandpa Horse to secrecy, and he would have known all along.
His little eyes held so much more than what they held. Anyway.
Horse facts.
Yeah, horse facts. Anyway, Brom swore Saphira to secrecy before she knew what the bombshell was.
Oh, okay.
So she didn't even know about it. She clearly regrets it.
These are the kind of promises Aragorn's always getting himself into, right?
But that's why they're so similar.
Yes.
That's why she picked him.
Yes.
But that's also why she knew some extra details about the Varden and the travel stuff after Brom died.
Yes, that makes sense.
So that answers actually some of those weird questions we had.
That's how she knew Dormnad.
Yes.
Yes.
And Brom even gave Saphira a memory for Aragorn to see.
Oh.
I didn't know this was a thing. Apparently, we have Dumbledore memory potions up in this bitch. I'm very excited.
You'd love to see it.
Yeah. Ormus steps in before Aragorn can see the memory and asks if he can explain Brom's story first.
Okay.
Ormus is a total bro here, by the way. We already knew a lot of this from the last book and Brom Watch 2023.
From the experts over at Brom Watch.
Yeah. But Oramus, your words, not mine. But Oramus explains that Brom was always treated pretty badly by Morzan, but he only realized his friend was evil when the Forsworn killed his dragon.
Okay.
Saphira the First.
Oh.
His love for her was unbreakable, and it turned into a crazed, literally mad hatred for Morzan.
Oof.
So Brom essentially swore to undo all that Morzan and the Forsworn ever made, and he became a nightmare for the Forsworn by hunting them tirelessly pretty much until they were all gone.
Yeah.
It's important to note here that Ormus explains that he is very proud of Brom.
I loved this.
And everything that he achieved, especially as he did most of his achievements without his dragon.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very nice aside for our yoga daddy.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you too, Magic Daddy.
Oh,
I'm proud of you
yes.
too.
We're so proud of you, Brom.
Yeah. Then 20 years ago, Brom heard of a mysterious woman named the Black Hand.
Mm-hmm.
We know from Jode that Aragon's mom was not a nice lady.
Nope.
And Brom went after her because she was connected to Morzan.
Okay.
And he was on a mission to fuck that guy up.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, so he called on his skill as a thespian to go deep cover at the garden on Morzan's estates.
His greatest strength of all.
Yes.
Acting.
Yeah. Hilariously, this all took place at the very beautiful and impressive Leona Lake.
Where else, Dane?
It really needs to become a national park. We hear it all the time. Well, maybe some good taglines.
Ooh.
Leona Lake. Don't mind the blood cults. The lake is beautiful.
Yes, they have resorts so inclusive you only need one hand.
You don't need your hands to see the beauty.
Oh, those poor, poor, sad cultists.
Oh, Leona Lake. Anyway, Brom found Selena Gomez, and the details are murky, but Brom and Selena fell in love.
Oh.
She became a double agent for the Varden, telling Brom all of Morzan's secrets.
Yes.
Mostly that he collected small pink teacups. It's true. It's in the text. Ormus doesn't know much, but Morzan was a little overconfident that Selena's love for him would ensure her loyalty.
Okay.
A classic narcissist behavior, right? Morzan can't imagine that things won't work out the way they do in his mind.
I mean, of all things, weirdly, this actually feels super realistic to me. Like the scumbags you fall in love with when you're young would never make good dads. And Selena just had like the unfortunate luck to find that tidbit out about this guy after she had a kid with him.
Bad timing.
Yes, it sucks. And then who is the very next guy she falls for? Literally the all-time best dad in a book full of incredible dads. She
Lots of
just
father
like
figures.
her timing was kind of fucked up. And, like,
Alagasia is full of fathers, and she chose the worst one.
She chose the worst one. But it's like, when you're so young, you're like, oh, that guy seems dangerous. Then later, you're like, that guy is dangerous.
He's dangerous.
Shit.
Orma says that Selena wouldn't leave Murtagh behind because Morzan basically manipulated visitation rights to see our emo baby boy. And we knew this from Murtagh, so this is all lining up.
Yes.
Brom spent 3 years in deep cover working with Selena to help the Varden. So Brom was also a spy.
Ooh.
He wasn't just a thespian. He was a spy.
Well, aren't all spies kind of thespians in a way, Dane?
You're absolutely right. You heard it here. Actors could be spies.
And vice versa. If you're a spy, get your ass on the silver screen.
Win an Oscar. What are you doing?
It's much less dangerous.
It's easy.
Yeah.
We said on this podcast. He only left his station because a scholar named Jode had found a possible secret tunnel into Urobane.
Yes.
Brom left right away, but Selena was out on a mission, and while she was gone, she found out she was pregnant.
Ugh.
This is cool because we actually get a timeline of the theft of Saphira's egg.
Oh, right.
And the real Selena Brom timeline that matches up. So Brom spent 7 months chasing the egg thief and fighting Morzan, while Selena went to Carvajal and had Aragon. Morzan didn't know why or where Selena had gone off to.
Okay.
So when he and Brom faced off, he asked Brom if he had killed his Black Hand.
Oh.
This made Brom think that the Black Hand was dead
Yes.
and gave him a boosty of hate to kill both Morzan
We
and
love
the
a
dragon.
hate boost.
Yeah. Well, because it would have been like Morzan killed my dragon and my love,
And now
and I'm going to kill you.
I'm going to end him.
Yeah. Brom then hid Saphira's egg after, the whole murdering of Morzan thing.
Right, that.
And headed towards Selena to save her from Galvatorix on the off chance that she was still alive.
Gotcha.
When he got back to Morzan's estate, Selena had just died
Oh.
of unknown sickness. So Brom investigated her death thinking it was a murder.
Yes.
And found out that she had been pregnant.
Oh.
From here, he went to Carvajal, where he saw that Aragon was with his adopted parents.
Yes.
Which gives us proof that Garrow must not have been as scary yet, because I don't think Brom would have left and come back to the... You know what I mean?
Important proof point, yes, in this whole deep dive. I think it's really salient that we note Garrow must have looked like a totally normal dude.
Yeah, maybe it's just having an extra kid that wasn't his that made him haunted. I don't know.
Oh, no.
But then,
The strain of raising a baby bean farmer
yeah, but
haunted him.
Don't don't tell Aragon. Brom left, came back to the Varden with Saphira's egg in secret. He and the Varden leader arranged to fake Brom's death so he could lay low till the egg was hatched and be the first person to train the new rider.
Yes.
Then he went back to the elves to tell Oramus this whole story I just told you in case he died, and then went to Carvajal to watch over his baby boy from afar.
Fucking Brom.
Yeah, he didn't want to get close because he didn't want to risk Aragon's life. I want a Brom book.
Yes, 100,000 million billion %.
I want to read a story.
I mean, just the read we got of it in this book is so fun. I'm just like, our daddy.
Yeah, and Oramus confirms that Aragon is for sure Brom's son, and there is absolutely no doubt.
That's right. I feel like this kind of confused me because like there's just zero explanation. Like he comes out to say that specifically, to go out of his way to be like, you are his son. Don't ask any questions about it. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Like, are there magical DNA tests? But like, but also then Aragon is thinking to himself. That's why I'm like, this is so weird. They make a meal out of it kind of in his internal dialogue. But he's thinking to himself, he's like too mortified to ask Oramus about his mom being with two guys at the same time. So he's like, whatever, I believe it.
I totally want the like Maury Povich DNA test.
100%. Who's the father?
It's like Morzan and Brom.
Yes, on stage.
Oramus is there for some reason.
100% in the audience.
Yeah.
Oramus hates the whole thing.
Yeah.
He's like, this is beneath us and our morals. It was weird.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Anyway, when Aragon asks why Brom didn't tell him any of this, Brom says he doesn't know. But if he had to guess, he says Brom was a man who always lived with secrets and probably got in the habit of keeping them.
Yeah.
But more than that, he was probably more worried that Aragon would have reacted pretty badly, and it could have disrupted like their training if Aragon would have hurt, like if he hated or distrusted Brom.
Yeah.
And Aragon sees the point. Thank God.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. We confirm that Arya sent the egg to Aragon by accident, trying to send it to Brom.
Okay.
And no one knows why that happens. Still seems strange to me.
Yeah.
I don't think this is really a good explanation. I think they're trying to say you're his son. So like it makes sense.
Like you have the same. Maybe this is the magical DNA test.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Aragon then says something that melts my heart for some reason. It gets me every time I
Really?
read. I always get like a little emotional. I don't know why. Aragon explains that as a kid, he had imagined that his mom was someone important who was in Galbatorix's court with all the fancy nobles, and perhaps she had fallen in love with a powerful man and had hid him to protect him for some reason.
Yeah.
And would come one day to like take him away from Carvajal. And it's like basically what happened.
Yeah.
His like imaginary dream of his parents. It's what it is.
Yes, I feel like that's the kind of stuff that always hits me hard too, is when you see a character or think about, especially someone who's like a kid or a teen or just coming of age, and they have that like the audacity of hope basically to think that their life might be normal or grand or like
life hasn't beaten them down yet.
Yes, but like even I think that's what got me about when Murtagh and Aragon talked last during their fight, and Murtagh's like, we'll just come back to Urobane with me, we'll like work on it together, we could still like be friends and have a normal life. And you're just like, oh but you can't.
Yeah, you can't go back.
Yes. It's really emotional.
Well, it gets worse.
No good.
On the innocence scale, Jacqui.
Right.
Don't worry. Aragon asks if Selena was a good person. And reveals what Joe told him about how awful her reputation was.
Yeah.
And Oramus handles this well, I think. He explains that love can make people do horrible things.
Yeah.
And that Selena was in love with Morzan and likely didn't know what he was when she fell in love with him.
Yeah.
Oramus basically says, trust Brom. And that ultimately she turned to the good side at the end. And she did try to help the Varden for years. Yeah. And did her best to protect both Aragon and Murtagh. Yeah. So she can't be like that bad of a monster. Like if she did those things. Yeah. Which I think is good. Just like don't worry about all the other stuff. Like she ended on a good note.
I think that is a good read, and I think it adds, I kind of like the way Selena's been characterized back and forth throughout the series so far, and I think Oramus is kind of the perfect character to give us the cohesive version of what her character looked like and how maybe we're supposed to view her as like a complicated, nuanced woman who obviously had done bad things, but maybe came around in the end.
Or maybe was tricked, or maybe she was into it, but then changed. Like, she's an interesting person.
Yeah, for sure.
I love how this chapter ends. Aragon brings up what Angela said in the first book, and I'm so glad he does this. about Brom.
Oh yeah, Angela's here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Angela's here. About Brom being destined to fail at everything.
Yeah.
And Oramus essentially is like, dude, why would you trust a fortune teller?
Yeah.
Also, that's dumb. And only one way to look at a very complicated man who completed and succeeded at a lot of things.
Yes.
And tell him, Oren. Oramus.
Yes.
Preach, brother. Then Oramus makes Aragon some food. Because
of course.
The charcuterie board is Avi turning at this point.
I mean, it's been sitting out in the sun for hours, probably.
It's probably been a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking he probably has a nice little harvest salad with walnuts and cranberries. Something like light but filling.
Yes, get a little protein in there, but like cold.
We cannot do podcasts
refreshing
when we're hungry anymore.
No. Getting out of hand. I do like, that's a really good point, I think, about
Angela? Yeah, I've been saying this for episodes.
Well, no, about the prophecy. I do think it's kind of an interesting read to think, she could have been wrong. She almost like verifiably was wrong in what she said about Brom.
Yeah.
She said he would fail at everything except for one. And we know at the very least, bare minimum, he killed Morzan and his dragon, and he managed to steal the egg. He managed to, I would go on and say he managed to found the Varden. He managed to.
I think you could look at it both ways.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think was he a writer? No, he failed at that. His dragon died.
Yeah.
He let his dragon die, right? But you're right. He did kill Morzan, but Morzan was able to bring down the riders first. So he failed at stopping Morzan before it all got bad.
Yeah.
So it's like a revenge killing, which I'm all about. But
Yes.
it doesn't succeed at anything. Galbatorix was still in charge.
Yeah.
So he gets a head. He gets a point, but it's like they're already losing. And then he couldn't be a dad with Aragon because you watch him from afar.
Yeah.
And then when we know he's already dead, but he was a good dad, clearly.
You know what we do know?
What?
That he succeeded at? Being a storyteller. The man told a mean story in the opening of book 1,
If
Dane.
there's one thing that man could do, he could tell a damn
He could
story.
spin a yarn.
But I think but this is the thing. He started the Varden and he got the egg. But
Yeah.
even then, they bungled that. Remember, he stole the egg and then that guy ran. Then he had to find it.
Yeah.
It
But
is-
I guess if he ultimately succeeded, I guess you can look at it and to me, if he succeeded at any more than one thing, like she said, are her prophecies fallible? We talk a lot about the way prophecies used in this book, and I do think it, and it's weird, it's something that just kind of occurred to me on this recent reread. I'm like, maybe it's not so concrete and cut and dried. I don't know if that's what Christopher Paolini intended.
Have I brought you around on Angela? Is that what's happening?
No. I just think it gives a little more nuance to the role that prophecy has in this world, because I think what you did bring me around on is it does kind of dampen the stakes in a way for Aragon if all of those prophecies are true.
Yeah.
But maybe they aren't.
Yeah, very true.
Because she could be wrong.
Yeah, that could be true. I think that's the problem with prophecy and story.
Yeah.
I think because ultimately either way, I don't think it matters. That's the bummer
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of it. But I am glad that regardless of if the prophecy, this is an interesting conversation. Regardless if the prophecy is right, I would just like to end with, I'm glad that Brom stuck up for his dad. And Oramus's response was why the fuck would you listen to her?
Yeah.
So that's
100%.
my high point for me.
I do like that. That does take us to chapter 47, Inheritance. We pick this up exactly where we left off with Aragon and his big main character energy walking over to stare into the distance off the edge of a cliff. He's just
Nirvana's Something in the Way begins to jam.
Yes.
Hair
He
moving in the
is
wind.
really, really milking it here. And it isn't quite a little picture in the dirt, so I don't know what your read on this is, but he does nudge a little pebble over the precipice, and it has the same energy to me as little pictures.
Maybe this was just an offering to Sindri.
Well, maybe if it's a stone, maybe it's an offering to Hellsvog. Maybe he's switching up his dwarven pantheon.
Maybe he's after Guntera answered his prayers.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Now
Maybe he's calling on all the dwarven gods now. Who's to say? But either way, he is brooding.
Yes. He's not as good at it, by the way, as his other brother, Murtagh.
Or Roran, to be honest. Roran sexily broods, staring at Rachel McAdams.
Murtagh rages.
Yeah.
All Aragon does is kind of stand.
And then push a little pebble.
Drawl something.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. Arguably, Aragon's is the most dramatic.
That's fair. He's got the drama.
Yes, I love that. He got it from his thespian father, his thespian papa. So Saphira comes up as he's standing here brooding dramatically, and she's like tentatively wondering if Aragon's mad at her after all of this. And he says that he understands the position she was in, I think because he's made the same kind of promises to people before. But he does wish that Brom hadn't insisted on her secrecy. And then he gets pretty deep, saying he reached essentially a state of such acceptance after the revelation on the burning plains that this new information doesn't really change how he feels about his parents, about not knowing them, about like who they might be.
Because Garrow is like his real father figure growing up.
Yes, like essentially Garrow raised him. He understands that he has all these different mentors in his life, I think. Like he's taking the whole picture of his daddy, his kaleidoscope of daddies.
He's like, I've been lucky to have many daddies.
It's a mosaic of daddies patching over his life.
He has a quilt.
Yeah. Exactly. But he does say he's really happy to know that Brom is his father and not Morzan. He feels good about this information, but it doesn't necessarily change how he feels. To me, I'm like, damn, that is growth, dude. Like, that's impressive.
Yeah, Aragon is coming a long way.
I know. So Saphira shows Aragon the memory that Brom left him. Brom begins this like little mind movie show by ruminating on the nature of mortality before giving Saphira the best spiel he has for his son. And this whole thing really gives me the feeling of like people who are dying of a terminal illness and leave like letters or tapes for their loved ones. It's so sad. It's so beautiful though, but really, really, really sad.
Yeah, I miss Brom.
I miss Brom so much.
Yeah.
We're going to see if I can make it through this. I'm not going to cry in this children's book, Dane.
You can do it.
That'd be embarrassing. I definitely cried while I read it.
Oh.
It's not my fault. So Brom starts out like lamenting the lack of time he has to say everything he could want. And he kind of says he's talking about how he can tell he's getting old and like wearing down his body, his like soul, his magic in a way that's very like real and urgent, and it never has been before. So I'm like, that's an interesting tidbit about how like riders maybe age after their dragons die.
Remember, he only had his dragon for 12 years.
Yeah.
So Brom, I mean, the fact that he's lived this long
Yeah.
actually is pretty crazy.
That's what I was thinking. It was
must
like
be
that
getting
kind of
to
got
the-
my mind in that whole realm of the magic system.
Yeah, he must have been getting to the end of his extended magic juice.
For sure. I think so too. So then he says he's still striving to make the world better for Aragon. And it was both the pleasure and torture of his life to watch Aragon grow up from afar. He takes full responsibility for Garrow's death and apologizes and warns Aragon to be wary of falling in love because poor romantic choices might be a heritable trait in this family. I'm like, fucking Brom, he's still cheeky, and this shit is sad.
I miss him because he is very much Brom in this.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's like picture perfect, like carbon copy.
Yeah.
This was our Brom. So then he goes on to tell Aragon how proud he is of him and that the only thing he can really give his son at this point is advice. And I'm crying.
Oh, no.
His first piece of advice is to protect the ones you love at any cost because losing them is the worst agony. His second piece is to resist Galbatorix to the bitter end because he will never be safe as long as the crazy murder wizard emperor is alive. And his best advice to do that, the reason he said he's been so successful throughout his life, especially without his dragon, is that he uses his head in a fight. He and Aragon may not be the strongest, but they can be the wiliest, essentially. And he urges Aragon to find the gaps in Gal's insane reasoning and exploit them to his advantage. And I'm like, this is
fucking
solid advice.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really good point. And I think it makes a lot of sense in this book where we're so obsessed with Karn and how fun he is. Like, this is a really good feature of this magic system that you can outsmart it, outthink it,
Yeah.
think around
He's
it.
basically saying like be wily.
Yes.
Like you said. Like,
yeah.
That's it. That's all you need to be.
Yeah.
Be cleverer than the other guy.
I love it. And he wraps up by wishing Aragon a long and happy life, telling Aragon that he and his mother loved him, and he gives him like another blessing. And I'm just like,
Oh my
Brom, come
God.
home. Magic Daddy. It is So sad.
Oh my God.
I feel like I was sobbing when I read it. As Aragon comes out of like this memory trance watching this back, he's also sobbing. He definitely knows what sobbing is at this point.
Yeah.
He's grown so much.
He doesn't need to ask.
No. But he tells Saphira that he'll be okay. She's a little scared at like how overcome with emotion he is. And he is like, you know what, girl, I'm going to be okay. I might not agree with everything Brom did at every turn, but I'm really proud to be his son.
Ugh.
And the chapter ends with Saphira and Aragon giving like silent comfort to one another as Oramus brings a meal out to Aragon.
So probably a stew then, right?
Oh
like
God.
something to comfort,
Do
maybe
you
a little
need
cheesy.
dinner?
Well, now we need to know what it is. Chapter 48, Souls of Stone. This whole section continues with the hits.
Yes.
Ormus comes out with some soup. And okay,
You did it.
Now that we know it's a soup, I'm thinking it's a bread bowl, like broccoli cheddar.
In a bread bowl, maybe like the classic Panera broccoli cheddar.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He's like, you're sad. I get that, Something really comforting.
Yeah.
Anyway, he asks if Aragon would like to see a fairth of Selena that
Yeah.
Brom gave him. Is a garden scene with
Okay.
Selena in armor.
I did like that detail because
Yeah.
you picture her like, classic medieval damsel, lots of flowing like lace and chiffon.
Not the black hand.
Nah.
She's in black
Not our
armor,
girl.
smelling a flower with her eyes closed.
Yes.
She is hot.
Amazing.
Important to note.
Yes.
But she resembles Garrow. And how is this possible? This is the most unrealistic thing in this entire series. But I...
Oh my God. Magic, dragons. No, just a hot person.
We have gone about this for almost 5 episodes?
We have defended against the haters who find things unrealistic, but it's this that somebody might resemble the haunted stick frame
And be hot.
of Garrow and be attractive.
We're the haters on this.
Yes.
You missed your shot, guys. But anyway, a hit of a bomb drops when Ormus offers the fair to Aragon.
Yes.
And Aragon asks for him to keep it safe.
Yeah.
And Ormus, demure as ever,
Okay.
evades the question.
He's like, you should hang on
You
to
should
that
hang
though.
on to
I
it."
might not be able to.
Yeah, but I'm on to you, old man. I've read this book series before, and something
for
is
you.
up.
Something is going on.
Yeah. Aragon then asks what the secret of Murtagh and Gal's strength is. Finally. And Ormus says that Glader has the answer to that, as it's not his right to
Yes.
explain it. And okay, I'm going to break this down in a deep dive in a bit.
Okay.
But here is the quick rundown. This is like me taking everything we learn, kind of trying to package it into something smaller.
Yes.
Every dragon has an Eldunari called
Okay.
the Heart of Hearts. Basically, it's a physical soul box that
Okay.
lives inside of them. Most dragons die with it never leaving their body, but a dragon can remove it while still alive.
Okay.
And their consciousness will live in 2 places.
Wild.
The wild dragons had a place to store all the Eldunari, but after the pack that they created with the riders, they trusted the riders with stewardship of the hearts.
Okay.
Finally, there are no takesy-backsies
Yes.
with Eldunari.
Okay.
The dragon must stay in the Heart of Hearts and cannot kill themselves once they die.
Okay.
Saphira has apparently known of all of this too,
Damn.
but literally never thought of it it mattered more, because it'd be like telling Aragon about her liver.
Oh yeah. Okay.
She's like, of course I have that. Right?
Yeah. Do you tell me often about your shin bone?
Yeah, exactly. Glader has hinted that it was important to her when they were training,
Okay.
but didn't explain why.
Okay.
And the reason he didn't is, he told her a little bit, but Glader made her swear that she'd keep it a secret from Aragon too, which at this point is starting to piss Aragon off.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
Lots of secrets from him, but apparently the secrecy is normal actually in the writer situation to protect Saphira from Aragon. So young dragons sometimes used to give their Eldunari really early in the bond
Okay.
to their rider without really knowing if that rider was maybe the right person for that.
Yes.
So also another piece of evidence that maybe not all the riders were great.
That's true. And that, they're obviously growing and changing over time, and the types of things that both dragons and riders are going to do are going to evolve with their bond over the long years of their lives. I like that, I think, as a feature of how this works.
Yeah, I think I like this. Aragon then asks if Glader has his Heart of Hearts, and Glader tells him to shut the fuck up and not be rude, which is perfect.
I feel like there's so much Glader in this section, and
Yeah.
he's very, very
He's
fun.
like, shush, idiot.
Yeah.
Why would you ask me that? I just told you
It's
what it
so
was.
rude.
It is my soul. Stop talking to me. So one important thing here is that we finally have even more evidence for how Galbatorix was able to beat the writer so easily.
Yes.
I'll get into more specifics in my deep dive,
Yes.
but this is an extra layer on top of the strategy I already laid out in the haters in episode 3.
Okay.
So it's a cherry on top, haters Sunday, if you will.
You're so nice to them.
Aragon asks how no one knows about this, and apparently the dragons only told a few elves
Okay.
after the Rider Pact.
Okay.
And it's always like the writer's most closely guarded secret for obvious reasons.
Yes.
Basically, it's the best kept secret in Alagasia.
I mean, better kept than Leona Lake, the Lake Como of Alagasia.
Come on, everyone knows of the lake that ripples like the sacrificial blood of your bestie.
Well,
Finally, Aragon then has a question that I love. How do the Eldenari have energy to fuel magic?
yes.
They don't eat. They don't need water.
Yes.
They don't move. They don't build muscle.
Yes.
How
Good
is-
question, bud.
Yeah.
Good question.
How is it that they have energy for magic? And
Yeah.
Oramus says it's magic. Which, okay, Oramus. Not satisfying, but also this is coming from the there are no gods because there are no miracles guy.
Yes.
Isn't this a magical miracle that breaks your energy rule, Oramus? Wouldn't that be enough to satisfy your miracle needs?
Okay.
You atheist.
Okay. Okay. That's so funny. I'm positive this is a wild hot take, but
Yeah, okay.
as aforementioned, I'm prone to wild hot takes in
Yes.
favor of my authors. Maybe Christopher Paolini here is like just trolling us. Maybe he's giving us the old "it's magic, you nerds" treatment. And he's using Oramus to like be a little cheeky and tell us to calm the fuck down.
All right, it just seems a little convenient from the vegan atheist. You know what I mean? But I get what you're saying. Anyway,
It's so funny.
I'm
I'm like,
just like-
okay, Chris, fine.
I'm just like, what? Like, anyway.
It's
Well,
magic, Dane.
yeah. It's one of those things where I would have accepted that, but Ormus was like, Anyway, Ormus ends this chapter saying that there are no more on the whole of the planet. All the Eldenari are taken.
Gotcha.
He and Brom looked for them. Yeah. And he doesn't believe that there are any more anyway. He doesn't remember anymore. He doesn't have any like thoughts about it. There's nothing in history. He can't find anything.
Okay.
So that sounds like a bummer.
Yes.
And
a
how
tough
do we
look.
how do we defeat Gal?
Dude, I was pretty surprised. I think mostly for timing reasons when I read this book. Like, you get the huge reveal, the bomb drop about Brom, and you're like, okay, I don't really know how this helps him defeat Galbatorix, but somehow this must be the key. This must be what we came for.
Yeah.
It's big information. And then no, right away, you're like, oh shit, there's more. There's more.
There's nothing. Like, you can't. I'm a little worried for our guy.
Just a bit, especially because we now know what they are, but also it's not like we have a clear through line for how we're going to use these, to
Yeah.
defeat Gal.
Well, I mean, Aragon doesn't have one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Notably.
Notably, he does not have
And
one.
cannot get one because there are no more.
Yes.
But knowledge is power is probably the point.
Let's clip that. I just want that from me. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. So
No, you're not wrong.
I think that's
He
what we're
knows-
leaning on.
Yeah, he knows what Gal's up to now, and I think that's probably important. He should know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Secret-
Oh, also, this explains Murtag's whole thing.
Yes.
The blind guy?
Yes, for sure.
Anyway,
Secret magic boosties.
Six Magic Boosties.
I love it. Who doesn't want a secret magic boostie?
But that's it. That's it. That's all the chapters.
Well, before you get back to picking apart our new secret magic boosties in your deep dive,
Yes, I'm gonna go deep.
yes, I do want to do a quick interlude on analysis to
Okay.
talk about the other big reveal of this episode, the first one,
Okay.
It's time for analysis.
first and best.
That's Alina's hot.
We already knew she was hot, Dane.
Yeah, we-
Everyone's described as hot.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think she was one of our first hot chicks in this book,
Who are
actually.
the people that aren't? Garo,
Gertrude.
Is that it?
Elva.
Oh, she's a baby.
Yeah, but she's definitely ugly and creepy.
She's a creepy. She's
Yeah.
a creepy.
Babies can be cute. She's not cute.
She's not a cute baby.
No.
Okay, that's fair. Well, on that note,
Yes, thank you so
now
much.
that we've thrown shade at Elva.
Womp. Called baby ugly. Tough look for me. I do want to do the analysis though to talk about, I think, just a huge bomb drop in this episode, which is the dad stuff.
Okay.
In this section of chapters, we obviously get two huge bombshells that alter the foundation of the story and are going to have ripples affecting it through the rest of this book, and I'm sure the next book. I've said it before, and I'm sure I will throw this broken record on the player again, Dane, but if we're on Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, and in a fundamentally coming-of-age tale, we're always on Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, we've hit another big atonement or turn of the circumstances here, which is going to gear us up for the most difficult part of the journey so far. That's kind of what we're setting up. And in the original framing of the hero's journey, this step was straight up called atonement with the father. So you know the dad stuff's going to be baked right in.
Oh, it's baked into this story.
Yes. The basic premise is that the hero needs to confront the reason for the journey, making peace with themselves and becoming whole, often gaining new knowledge or skills to arm themselves to take on the big bad. Sound familiar?
It sounds very familiar.
Yes. I think this so clearly ties the focus on Aragorn's parentage, specifically coming to terms with his father and his yoga daddy having withheld so much from him. I think it's so strong to tie that to the final reveal of the Eldenari as a vital piece in the puzzle that can help Aragorn defeat Galbatorix.
Yeah.
He spent so much time and energy justifying this trip to Elismira with a single-minded focus, something he maybe picked up from Roran somewhere, on advancing his cause against Galbatorix, and we're seeing it pay off in this section as he has this little bean farmer mind blown by exactly the kind of new knowledge and self-actualization that is likely to motivate him to persevere to the end of this fight. So I think both pieces are really necessary.
Yeah, this time it's personal.
Yes, exactly. Confronting the revelation about Brom forces Aragorn to finally unlock an aspect of his growth and coming of age that he's been ruminating on since the early, like the first and second chapters of book 1.
Yeah.
And what does he get for accepting the truth of his parentage and being at peace with Brom as his father? This lousy t-shirt. Just kidding. He gets the fucking key to the secret behind Galbatorix's strength and hopefully like the knowledge or weapon he needs to bring the insane murder wizard down.
And he's not related to Morzan, which is
just so
super
good.
Plus.
Yes. Huge plus
that
here.
guy sounds like the worst.
Yes, for real. I mean, every time we get like maybe somebody around him was not the worst, it just makes Morzan look so much worse by comparison.
You know what's funny about Morzan? And I've never thought about this until right now. But like Durza, like he's an insane spirit, right?
Yes.
The Razak, they eat human beings.
Yes.
Galbatorix, he's mad.
Yes.
Like Morzan's just like trashy.
He's just a
He's
guy.
just like a bad guy. He just sucks. You know what I mean? He's like the worst of all of these people because you're just like, I don't know, man. His thing was that he was like shitty.
Just really shitty. I think maybe that's why like thinking about Selena falling in love with like the trash dude hit so close to home for me because I'm like, dude, I was in college. I was in a sorority.
Yeah.
I saw so many of my girlfriends fall for these guys who like, they're not up against anything. They have like the world at their feet and they still are just pieces of shit. And I'm like, what?
What the heck?
He's that guy.
He's that guy. And he's like just good enough, but like not the best.
Dude.
Yeah, he's totally. What's the guy on Gilmore Girls? Is it Jesse that's the bad guy?
Jess, the bad boy.
The bad boy?
He comes around in the end.
Does he come around the wrong end? Don't come after me, Gilmore Girls.
I was just gonna say we're gonna be here a long time, Dane. If you need me to unpack all the intricacies of the Gilmore Girls boyfriends,
I tried to make a reference I was not prepared for.
I would say Morzan's more like a Dean because he is inarguably the shittiest Gilmore Girls boyfriend.
Oh,
You
is
heard
Dean
it here
the
first.
worst?
Yeah, Dean fucking sucks, and
All
he's
right.
boring.
All right.
He's like just boring. White bread.
Yeah.
Cheats on his wife with Rory Gilmore. That guy sucks.
This guy. Okay, so this is Morzan, where you're like,
Yes.
I guess he's all like even his good qualities. You're like, I guess he's all right, but like he's an asshole.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's Dean.
Yeah.
Anyway, themes, Dane, emotions.
Yeah, that's a father-y connection,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah. I
I'm
could get
doing
behind it.
Yeah.
Gilmore Girls, a show with no dads. I'm just kidding. Our dad's in it.
Is there?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen Gilmore
Oh my
Girls.
God.
I'm just kidding. I've seen Gilmore Girls. But am I?
I don't think
I
so.
don't know. Let's get out of here.
Okay, so we talked about some of this dad stuff
Yeah.
as it relates to coming of age back in the first season when it came up with the deaths of both Garrow and Brom. Back then, I talked about like the vaguely Freudian idea that a person fully comes of age when they lose their parents and process what it means to be truly alone. That's kind of the portion of this Aragorn
feel
was
that.
really, yes, that Aragorn was like like really going through in that book.
Yeah.
And I feel like we get echoes of that as the coming of age arc carries through here with this revelation about Brom tied so closely again to Eragon getting this huge knowledge level up in terms of not only his journey to dethrone Gal, but also his journey to be a good person, to like be at peace with himself and like deal with trauma in a healthy way. Like, I think it makes so much sense to finally have him visibly and like concretely level up as we're closing just one piece of this coming of age loop.
Totally agree.
Yes. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how absolutely wrenching Brom's message to Eragon was to read. I think we've been primed so well to feel for Eragon in his longing for a dad. I mean, I think that's why we spend so much time on this podcast talking about dads.
Well, even Garrow comes up a lot for us.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Like our original father uncle. Well, and he comes up a lot in the story. We're always dropping hints back to like, oh, Garrow would have said this. Garrow would have thought this. Like, he clearly is still a big part of Eragon's life that he ruminates on because this book's about dads.
Yeah, and it's haunting because he's like a ghost.
Even when he's nice. But I think, you know, we've been primed so well to feel for Eragon in this specific way that the payoff of this moment of like having that emotional, like direct message from Brom to Eragon feels so well earned here. And I just want to give my endless props to Christopher Paolini for closing that loop in such a beautiful and emotional way. Like, it gets you because you feel things. Like, he's made it so.
I think you're gonna like my hater segment today.
I can't wait because I am emotionally spent on dad stuff, Dane. I am ready to get into some crunchy stuff. Do you have any for us in the deep dive?
No, actually, I enjoy this. Yeah, I definitely do. We got Eldonari. It's time for the deep dive.
Yes.
Deep dive.
This time I wanted to take a deep dive on the Eldonari.
Yes.
What are they? How do they work?
Who's to say?
What the heck are the implications? The Eldonari are gem-like organs that live inside a dragon. The color and size of an Eldonari connects with the color and size of the dragon that possesses it, and the Eldonari houses the consciousness of the dragon, or its soul, perhaps. A dragon's Eldonari does not have to be disgorged if the dragon doesn't want to give it up. If the dragon does not disgorge the Eldonari and dies with its heart of hearts still in its body, the Eldonari dissolves inside the body like normal.
Wild.
Yeah. The one exception to this is that sometimes dragons can panic while dying and accidentally disgorge their Eldonari.
Wild. Can I just give some preemptive props to you for how many times you're going to say the word disgorge?
Yeah, did you like that?
It's a wild word.
It's a wild choice, isn't it? I love it.
But that's what is happening. That's
look,
what it is.
Once a dragon has disgorged, its Eldonari dies. Its Eldonari dies. The Eldonari cannot end its existence itself as it has no body. So unless it can conjure the rare dragon magic to break its Eldonari, the dragon is stuck inside its heart of hearts.
That elusive dragon magic, Dane. You better get the best like Dwarven Hymn playlist queued up. Throw on your creed.
Exactly. Instead, a dragon trapped in an Eldonari and longing for the sweet embrace of death would need someone else to break it for them, which is an aside. It sounds awful.
So bleak, yes.
I would not want to go into my Eldonari if I was a dragon. We learned from Glader that if a rider were to stay alive, but its dragon was killed with the Eldonari already disgorged, the pair would be called Indilvarn.
Nice.
A special pair of living rider and Eldonari dragon that served the riders still, just in a slightly different capacity.
Okay.
I would love a story of one of these riders.
Yes.
It would be awesome, like an internal Dragon Rider detective series, maybe.
Yeah.
Like he's the one that does all the internal investigations.
Yes, and you could also totally go undercover then as a rider with just like a weird purse you carry around all the time.
Oh, my clutch?
Oh, sorry. I need to take my fanny pack. They're like, sir, this is a no fanny packs establishment. And he's like, not today, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. He has a backpack all the time.
Incredible.
This is amazing.
Crunchy.
Yeah.
Deep dive. Important. Factual.
Yeah. The most important bit of the Eldonari seems to be what they can do while the dragon is alive.
Okay.
If a dragon is alive and disgorges its Eldonari to someone, they have several abilities they can rely on while the Eldonari is in their possession. Yes. A rider with his dragon's Eldonari can communicate with their dragon no matter where the dragon is.
Yes.
Like on the whole of Alagasia.
Yes. It's a big one.
This is handy, especially after seeing all of the dragon withdrawal Eragon was having a few chapters ago.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened. This would also have been handy at the height of the riders, as they must have needed to be able to relay information extremely quickly to have an advantage over any of the rivals or people trying to like work against them.
Yeah.
And I assume like even if like, let's say you have a few hundred riders, let's say a quarter of them. So we're talking about like 50 Eldenari around.
Yeah.
I assume it made them, along with their other abilities, seem very godlike because they had instant
sure.
information all over Alagasia.
Yeah.
2 more things we learn about the Eldenari in this section. First, once the dragon's body dies, it takes 5 to 7 years for the Eldenari to fully power up to where they were when they died.
Okay.
But once that time passes, the Eldenari has the full measure of the power of the dragon that it had in life. And this makes the Heart of Hearts extremely valuable.
Yes.
Because if a rider has a few, he doesn't have just the considerable power of his own enhanced body and his own dragon, but of multiple dragons on top of that. For what we've seen from Murtagh, now that we can guess he was using Eldenari.
Yes.
This also increases one's mental abilities to an equal degree.
Okay, yeah.
So both of these things are huge, as magical energy is kind of the limit on wards to protect oneself
Yeah.
and to empower one's spells.
Okay.
And most of the important protection is the mind, right? So with enough Eldenari, your enemy literally cannot mind control you or mind break you.
Yeah.
There's just too many minds going on in your head.
Yes, you'd have to do them all.
Yeah, this also explains Murtagh's minds sending like multiple beings.
Oh, yeah.
His increased power, the blind dude who saw stars around him with all the hateful feelings inside of him.
Yeah.
Those are probably trapped dragons.
Okay.
So fucking wild there.
Yes. And I mean, just on that note, like it was nearly impossible for Aragon and 13 of the most powerful elves ever.
Yeah.
The Deadly Dozen,
Yeah.
Ocean's Elf Teen.
Yeah, exactly.
It was almost impossible for them to overtake Murtagh. And they all noticed like the discord and the chaos that was like
plus
within
Aragon
him.
plus Saphira.
Yes. Yeah.
And they couldn't do it. I think
Or they just barely did it.
yeah, they were just barely able to do it. And they didn't get into his mind either. They just were able to like outpower him.
Yes.
Which is
that's true.
wild.
Yeah.
So with the specifics nailed down, I want to add some context for what this means in terms of a war. This is more evidence of why Galbatorix won his war and a little of what I talked about last week.
Yeah.
Basically, at the time of his attack, the riders had peace for so long, they become careless with their Heart of Hearts security system.
Not great.
And use the Eldenari as cell phones and batteries pretty frequently.
Tough luck, yeah.
Yeah, so when Gal killed his first rider, he took that first Eldenari and bent its mind to his will. And he kept going after riders and torturing them until their dragons would give up their Eldenari, getting stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
Then once he sacked the capital with the Forsworn, he gathered that the power of the Eldenari the riders had stored, which included, by the way, wild dragons.
Damn.
Eldenari and all the Eldenari the riders' dragons disgorged over the years. I don't think it's a stretch given that Ormus and Brom looked and couldn't find anymore, along with what Ormus says about Gal in this chapter, to think that Galbatorix has all of those Eldenari. So he was not a one-man army. He was a man whose whole special ability, the skill of breaking people's minds, happens to pair well with acquiring more and more Eldenari.
Yes.
So, and we've been told this, by the way, Gal also went against small numbers of riders at home.
That's right.
Like at the time,
Yeah.
he went after like 2 or 3 at most.
And
right?
it kind of makes sense that he is like kind of using stepping stones essentially to like make his way up the ladder.
Yeah, it makes sense that he could overpower them, right?
Yes.
Because like he had all the Eldenari.
Yes.
It's just
well,
and
and even on his way to get there,
Yeah.
don't we get comments and commentary as like with each kill he seemed to grow more
stronger.
powerful?
Yes,
Like
Brom says that in chapter 3
Yes.
of Aragon.
Yes.
So like this has been hinted at for a while. We also learned that Galbatorix, what he's up to, why he isn't leaving everybody.
Yes.
He's bending all the Eldenari to his will. So like he can't just like take them and use them as batteries.
Okay.
The dragons have to like want to do that.
Oh, okay.
So the only way he can do it is to break them.
Damn.
So he's probably got a lot of them. So
Ugh.
this is probably taking a while.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
So that's probably why he's not leaving home.
Yeah.
His pet project.
Do you think he has like a little man cave with a little workshop where he works on this when he like needs some time away from his wife?
That's what he calls work, his
Yeah.
wife. I bet like he's got like a poster of like Pamela Anderson.
That translates
He's
over
got-
to Alagasia.
Yeah, he's got like a boombox.
Yes, 100%.
It's a dad garage.
Yes.
So this is crazy and very evil.
Yes,
These are
very
all
bad.
souls
Very
of
bad,
people
very
that
bad.
like have no arms and legs.
Nope. Bad.
Yeah. So they're basically he's an immortal being
Yeah.
with all of the knowledge, all of the magic and all of the dragons and writers, because they would remember the writers' lives at his disposals. Does this make sense now, guys? Like, Cal doesn't give a shit about anyone.
Yeah.
As we went over last time, this is just adds to his isolationism. And for him, time means nothing.
Yes.
He isn't scared at all because who can beat him? I'm a little scared for Aragon.
Yes.
He's got no rush on a long enough timeline of immortality. Who cares
He's
if
gonna
this
be
war
totally
takes
fine.
forever?
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
I think it, I mean, maybe this is just something about me, but it makes sense that he wouldn't trouble himself to do something he doesn't have to. He's like, well, if I wait long enough, it'll get done for me.
I'll weaken all of you.
Yeah.
And like, if we have to face off, we have to face off. Maybe I'll get you before, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
when
busy.
I do it, I'll definitely beat you. So it doesn't really matter to me if it's, and he's fucking crazy. So he's like, now feels exactly the same as 10 years from now to me.
It's wild.
Yes. I do like, there's a solid wrap up with like a little just dig to the haters, a little extra defense for them. Because it makes sense, I think, even without the Eldenari, like just his like slow measured battle, all of that you explained. This is just, like you said, the extra cherry on top of that hate Sunday.
It's really wonderful. And I hate all this. But you know who also feels that ugly emotion?
Who?
The hater!
Actually, you should do your research, huh? Have you even read it? How you pronounce it?
What are the haters saying?
There's an index in the back, right?
This is really
Just a copycat.
So for this week's What Are the Haters Saying, we have 3 problems with this section of chapters.
Great.
Wow, haters, they got a lot of thoughts. They got a lot of thoughts.
We're in it.
Yeah, first of which is that some people think that Brom wasn't intended to be Aragon's father all along.
This is like a retcon.
Yeah,
Dude.
and to that, I take a page out of Yarbog's book and just say, nah.
Insane.
I think it's pretty well explained
Yeah.
and well foreshadowed. But let's do a very brief defense against this idea, because this is just wild to me. First, Brom's in Carvajal. Why would he be there?
Yes.
If he isn't Aragon's dad, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
If Brom was worried about Aragon as a threat in the future as Morzan's son, or Morzan's son, right? And I have no idea why that would be the case.
Yeah.
I don't know why he would think that or know that.
Yeah.
It would be easier for him to just kill the baby.
Yeah.
Aragon would be dead. But even on top of that, the more likely threat would be the cooler older brother Murtagh, who's being raised and possibly trained by Galbatorix.
Cooler older. Couldn't help it.
Yeah, I couldn't help
had
it.
to dig it in.
I had to get it in there.
Yeah.
So I think this is our first big piece of evidence.
Yeah.
Just the location of all this.
Yeah.
This clearly extraordinary guy being in that teeny town seems off, even in the first book. Also, there's the whole plot of the first book.
Oh, that.
Yeah, I mean, like, if Brom is not Aragon's father, then Aragon's just the key strategic breakthrough to a rebellion that Brom has been fighting his whole life, which is
Yes.
very long. He would take Aragon straight to the Varden and train him on the way.
Yes.
Not take him on a revenge mission because he wants to protect Aragon from the organization's politics.
Yes, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, on top of all that, his deathbed speech is pretty intense for a guy who is just a mentor.
Yeah.
It is possible to paint it that way, but with everything else, I think it's more evidence. Also, Brom knew Selena and speaks of her fondly in the
Yes.
first book.
Yes.
When we knew his organization would have hated and feared her.
Absolutely.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it would be a wild turn for him to be like, she's a nice lady.
I'm not going to go any further.
Yeah.
I think this was planned from day one, book 1. So
Yes.
Brom's our magic daddy for real.
Yes.
And always was.
Yeah.
It was always the end game.
Haters.
Yeah.
Don't
So,
malign the good name of our magic daddy.
hating the second.
Oh,
The haters go on about the Eldenari. It's stolen.
Great.
Yeah, plagiarizing Paolini, am I right?
Oh, sure.
Oh man, they say this about so many things in the series. I haven't even brought up all the names and places and people Paolini took from Tolkien.
Oh, my God.
Which apparently is only allowed if you're Robert Jordan. You know?
Yeah. Reading Wheel of Time in book club, I was like, oh, this is just this. This is definitely just Lord of the Rings light.
Yeah.
And then it definitely wasn't. We grew from there. That was the
Yes.
first book. But
Yes.
it is funny how much people love Robert Jordan and they're like, but Christopher Paolini, you can't do it.
What a thief. Yeah, but the plagiarizing accusations continue here in this section. The Eldenari and controlling characters through their physical representations of their hearts and souls are stolen from other stories, they yell. They cite some evidence like the Unicorn Chronicles.
Okay.
But ultimately, I don't think the idea of controlling a creature through its soul, heart, or mind is unique.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind is voodoo magic.
Oh, yeah.
Me and you grew up in a time where it was on TV a lot when we were kids. I remember that distinctly. It's always involved something from a person, like hair or blood. And if you think about this even a little bit, I think you can find this type of magic or power through loads of fiction, comics, movies, myths, legends.
Yes.
Heck, even in D&D, and a few things come to mind. Hello, liches. But rather than bore us with all of that, I'll just say I personally don't think this holds water. And I think it's one of the weaker, they can make some better plagiarism arguments. This one is the worst one. Step it up. This isn't your best work.
Come on, haters. We expect more of you.
I know. This is a kid that's saying you can't have magic in your stories because it's plagiarism. Anyway, I'm moving
I think
on.
that's a good point.
Yes, it's goofy. The final thing I want to touch on in this episode's hater segment is maybe less hate.
Okay.
But actually probably a criticism of what to this point has been a very strong magic system.
Okay.
Last season, I talked about the problem of Oramus teaching Aragon to pull energy from outside his body, disrupting the set parameters of the magic system.
Yes.
This was supposed to be a secret and hard to master and limited by the pain of killing living beings.
A problem.
As well as the time suck and possible risk of like getting into their minds.
Yes.
But in this book, we get something even more powerful.
Yes.
Eldonari. Eldonari are problematic to the magic system for one reason: power creep. Power creep is something that is mostly talked about in video games or higher level play-in games that I like Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons. But it is something that is worrying for lovers of a lot of book series or authors of fantasy.
Yeah.
You see, the main problem with power creep in fiction is as the story goes on, the rising power level affects the plot in retrospect.
Okay.
Everything that has already happened is undermined by the idea that it could have easily been fixed with the new power or more powerful thing newly presented.
Yes.
This is a whole thing in a longer book series, and we've already seen it happen a bit here. For instance, why would Brom not use the energy from his ring Arin or keep his ring Arin to use the energy in book 1 instead of sending it to the Varden?
Yeah.
Or why wouldn't he have had Aragon take him to the forest to draw energy from all the living creatures to heal himself?
Yeah.
That would have been a time to use that ability.
Yeah.
Or why weren't people using wards, even Brom? Both of these powers and problems are introduced in the second book, and they retrospectively affect the plot.
Yes.
So power creep also presents the problem of characters getting more and more godlike. It makes it difficult to write challenges external to them, which is fine. If you turn inward, and an inward conflicted character is much more fun to read about anyway.
Yeah.
But it also makes it more difficult to write enemies and danger that have actual stakes in simple stories.
Yes.
I would say like this.
Okay.
And I bring this up because I see this a lot as like a black mark on an otherwise great magic system.
Okay.
And this happens to a lot of magic systems in fantasy and in games all the time. And it by no means ruins the story or ruins the story for me.
Yeah.
It's just something to mention to the fact that it does get talked a lot about. And it is something that like Christopher Paolini has acknowledged himself to varying degrees.
Gotcha.
So it's a mixed bag today.
Yeah.
Haters have one fair criticism and two frankly wacky things. And that's why I love you, goofballs. So I'm not going to tell you to get out of town, but I will say I'm done with you this week. I'm done with you, haters.
You're not mad at him this week. You're just disappointed.
Just disappointed.
Because dad stuff.
Yeah, because like Brom's got me feeling like a dad.
Yes, I was just about to ask, how are you feeling about dad stuff in this section, Dane?
I will say, I read these as a kid.
Yeah.
And I am now a father.
Have you done a reread since you had Eddie before this
No,
one?
not before we did this podcast. And I will say it does hit a little different because the idea of like leaving my son is extremely that's very emotional.
Yeah.
So I will say that like I feel for Brom a lot more as a character. And like we knew this when we read the first book. Right?
Yeah.
But like one of the things I was feeling a lot in the first book is like that must have been so hard.
Yes, I do. I'm thinking back to like doing the reread of Aragon starting to write season 1 of the podcast and just how much you were like, holy shit, this book is Brom, dude, Brom. And I was like, damn, you really are attached to Brom right now.
Yeah. Well, I feel so
makes
bad,
sense.
and even when he dies, that whole moment in the cave and the terror of that.
Yes.
And not being able to tell your kid while you're dying.
Oh my God.
I cannot imagine.
Dude.
That sounds horrible.
Really, really, really sad. And I think maybe just how sad the message from Saphira had eluded me between rereads, or I just wasn't thinking about how broken up I was about it. So it was gutting to read here, and it instantly made me think, oh my God, no wonder Dane has better memory than I do. And Dane has read these books more recently than I have.
Yeah.
And no wonder he was having such a tough time with Brom back in book 1.
But also my love of Murtagh. I think
Yeah.
Murtagh has in some ways it's worse.
It paints that in such a harsher light, I think.
Yeah, because he has memories of that, doesn't he? Like he remembers the scar thing when he was 3.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's even worse.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have this shitty Morzan, just a shitty dad.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, man.
The worst frat bro.
Yeah, and I had to say, as an older guy, I'm not that old, but getting older, I even it's so funny. It almost, I think this actually colors Morzan for me a little bit, because even I was like, this guy's just a shitty guy.
He's a shitty dad.
He's a bad dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's bad to his wife or whatever the hell they were, and it's just what's up with all these bad husband, bad dads in fantasy?
I don't know. It was the early aughts, Dane. It was the mid aughts.
Yeah.
And we were just depicting bad fathers all over the place.
Exactly.
And Brom.
Yeah. And Brom.
Ormus.
And Brom was
our
great.
yoga daddy.
Yes. And Ormus is a great dad, I
Our
think.
king daddy, or dwarf daddy. We had some fun dads.
We had some fun dads. I
Yeah.
think Hrothgar was a fun dad,
It's
but
a top tier dad.
but a boundary dad.
Gone too soon dad.
He was taken to us too soon with his aviator glasses.
As his love of ice cream.
Just your average king. On that note,
That's a perfect joke.
on that note, thank you for listening. We super appreciate it. Make sure to rate and review, especially on Apple Podcasts. Support on Patreon, and check out our social media at Is This Just Fantasy Pod on TikTok or at Just Fantasy Pod on Instagram. If you have any questions or just want to write to us about dads, you can email us at isthisjustfantasypod@gmail.com.
Please send us an email. Do not write anything in the body. Just subject line, your favorite book dad. That's all we want.
That'd be great.
Just have hundreds of them. If you want to keep pace and read along with us, on the next episode, we'll be covering chapter 49, Hands of a Warrior, through chapter 53, Greaves and Bracers. We're getting close.
Yeah.
There's only 2 more.
It's just fantasy. We're just 2 nerds and we love our fantasy. Come on and listen to us next time. Find out what our deep dive will be. Thanks for catching our show.